Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm shooketh. I am shooketh by this episode. I think I have a clear idea of who Joey's gonna pick, but we'll get into it. But guys, this episode had some shock-worthy moments, and I really want to talk about it. So let's get straight into it. So we start off this episode with good old Maria. That scene that we kind of been seeing in the previews, where she's kind of sitting on the couch talking to him and telling him, "I don't know if I could do this anymore. This is very difficult," etc., etc. Which, to be completely honest, this was kind of like how it's been for the last couple of episodes, and that's usually how it is, especially right before hometowns. Every girl's kind of just expressing the same thing to Joey over and over and over again about how this is really hard, how it's hard to see him with women, and he just kind of has to sit there and be like, "It's okay, like, I just want you to know that you're here because I have a connection," right? But in the end, we all know there's only going to be one, right? But anyway, we go into basically they are now in Jasper, Canada, which, by the way, is absolutely beautiful. I have been. It is beautiful. Oh my god, when he was on his one-on-one with Daisy, beautiful. Oh my god, it made me want to go camping, and I do not camp. So it was beautiful. But basically, we have Joey, walking around. Jasper still worried about people, quote unquote, not choosing him, leaving, all of these things that are really, they're trying to really foreshadow or kind of, stir the pot because of that whole last scene where he's seen crying and the van leaving. And it's them almost kind of making it seem that like that person leaves and doesn't choose or says no to him at the aisle, whatever it is, right? But he does say that he does see a future with these women, and he hopes that this week will be able to clarify exactly, who his front runners really are, right? But we have beautiful scenery again. We see the girls in their space, being like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful." All the girls talking about the dates, hoping to get a one-on-one because this week there will be two one-on-ones and one group date. You see JP and Joey talking over tennis because that's their thing. Every single time they're talking before the dates, it's always them playing tennis. So, yay for tennis. Um, but yeah, it's basically him saying the same thing, which he says every week, but just him saying, "I just want to see which connections I have and which ones are the strongest," and that'll help him kind of make up his mind. But to be honest, I think he kind of really knows already. But with this show, I think in general they usually don't want the Bachelor to like say right away who they love or who they're falling for the most. I have my thoughts, and we'll get into it. Who I think he really, really is his front runner, but we'll get into it. We do find out though that the first person to get on one is Miss Daisy, which again makes sense. I do think, or at this point, I really thought she'd be going to hometowns for sure. And also she was the first one-on-one, so I figured she probably would be getting the next one-on-one because it has been a while. And also the previews kind of ruined it because they showed her kind of walking or on a horseback ride with him in Jasper. So I said, okay, well, she's clearly getting a one-on-one here, right? But basically, Jen is upset. Her feelings are very hurt, and you can see her starting to get in her head. She's saying it's very tough to see him with these other women and seeing these strong connections build around her. Like she can see these connections, and it's really starting to mess with her head. And this episode, I feel like we had two people who were really, really starting to spiral, and it was Jen and Maria. It didn't work out for one of them in the end, but they were both very much struggling and starting to spiral during this episode. You see a lot of Jen, a lot of Maria crying and figuring out and not being able to take their connections and things like that, which is why I thought it was interesting because you do have really the number one people you kind of see never really struggling on camera like that are usually like Rachel, Daisy. I've never seen them like really struggle hard where they're like crying like I can't, and I think that's because they seem to be very in tune with their relationship with Joey. So I thought it was interesting that them really kind of showing these other women really faltering, because I think that kind of shows who's really confident about their relationship with Joey and who's starting to kind of doubt their feelings or his feelings, right? So then Joey is really now just thinking about Daisy, and he wants to feel that they're both on the same page because she has not told him that she's falling in love with him. And that was a big thing between them, and I was a little bit worried about that because it is true, and you did see in the trailer that in the trailer for this episode that she said, I'm not going to tell him I love him just to get a rose, which granted, good for you, girl. That's not what this is about. But we'll get into it. They both go horseback riding, and it is beautiful. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. That's what I was saying. I was like, oh my God, jealous. I would love to be horseback riding. It looks so beautiful. Then they go hot tubbing, which was really cute. And I was like, oh, and then they both go and change, and they come on their bathing suits. And I said, okay, Daisy, you were hiding a body underneath those clothes, because they both looked really hot. To be young again. That's all I'm going to say. To be young again. Yeah, they looked so hot in their outfits. Joey's body is sexy. Oh, my God. And she just also looked really, really good. I said, okay, fine. Hot bodies up in here. We saw a lot of that this episode, which is interesting because we're in a very cold climate, but yet we saw a lot of bathing suits this episode. Then they both talk about the kind of love that they foresee in the future, and that they both just want to be with someone who they just can't imagine not being with, who they can't imagine not being in their life. Even with all the hard times, they just wouldn't want to be with anyone else but them. And, they both agree on that. I thought that was super sweet. And then we have Daisy on the side, though, talking about how she is not in love with him, though, and she won't say it to get a rose, which, yikes. Obviously, she realizes, okay, I have to tell Joey this. I have to be honest with him. And I'm not going to lie, I think that was hard. But then you also have to think, when I'm watching the show, him hearing, oh, this person's not in love with me, it shouldn't be it is hard to not, if you have all these other people and someone who you really like isn't telling you that they're falling for you, it can be really worrisome. But obviously everyone's on a different timeline. Daisy's not someone who, when you don't have all these one-on-ones all the time, it's hard to get to know someone. Some people like to take it slow. Some people don't fall that hard. It takes some time. And Daisy seems like that kind of person. She needs time to really be with him and really experience life and more moments. And I think because her last one-on-one was how long ago? What episode was this? 8, episodes ago. So obviously that could be a lot of weeks in her mind. So it would be hard to kind of get there. And is she going to get there? I don't know. She is definitely one that I am a little bit worried about in the regard of, is she going to be able to make it to that point? Because I do think there's some other people that I feel are a little bit farther along than she is, and that might eventually bite her in the butt. Maybe. I don't know. Comment down below what you thought about that, because I was a little bit I'm a little worried for the future because she wasn't there yet. But then we go back to the house, and we do see that Kelsey A is getting the next one-on-one. Jenn is not happy. She literally walks out and is just really upset. And Maria talks about how she wishes she could have gotten it, and she just feels like she needs more time. So like I said before, it's kind of marrying the two women that are really struggling here who are really starting to spiral more or less, right? So we have Daisy and Joey going to their one night portion. Daisy says she's going to be honest and tell him how she's feeling, and basically she does tell him that she's not there.
Really, really like you. Am I there yet? No. I can see us being so great together, and I can see myself falling in love with you, if I'm being honest.
He does say in his interview, on the side interviews, that he is worried about that, obviously, because it's his number one concern that he gets to the aisle and the person he chooses does not pick him. It's the big thing, big thing, which, my God, this ending. Can we get to the damn ending already? Can we get to the ending? I just want to know what the hell this is and how this has never happened before. I feel like I need to see it. So he's basically worried that if he does give her a rose, that she might, eventually change her mind, or she doesn't get there, or that she feels confident enough to let him meet her family. He wants her to feel that confidence with them, that he would be able to meet her family. So he kind of tells her that to her, and she says, yes, I want you to meet my family. They're very important to me, etc., etc. In the end, he does give her the rose, and she's very, very excited. They go and play hockey together. It's very cute. But I will say, I mean, they had the date. Their first one-on-one date was at that like festival thing, which was them like walking around and like getting to talk, even though it was very loud and not the best place to really talk. In my opinion, I think the person who's gotten the best dates for the best, I feel, has been Kelsey A, because she's had dates and it's pretty much just them like walking around and getting to know the city that they're in. That's basically what her date was on this one and what her date was when they were in Malta. Very similar, which gives them more of an opportunity to kind of chat more and get to know each other compared to other people when they're doing just like activities. It's kind of hard to sit down and have a real conversation and kind of see the goofy side or the fun side or the serious side, to see what they like, see what draws them. When you're doing an activity, you know, it's hard for them to really connect. You know, you have Daisy and Joey going on a horseback riding. Like, yeah, that's great, but how are they really going to chat? Not a lot of chatting could be done. Yeah, like something, but you don't really have a chance to get close and have those little moments to build that spark and build that romance. That's just me, how I felt with these dates. I feel like Kelsey A has been getting the best dates, and I think it's because she's definitely a top two. I mean, she's definitely, I feel like she's definitely top two for sure. So yeah, Daisy gets the rose. She's super duper excited, and he says that he is willing to take this chance with her because he wants to continue to build their connection, and she is worth it to him, and she's very special. And I think he does really like Daisy, and I have a feeling that Daisy, I think that he likes Daisy more than Daisy likes him, but not in like a bad way. Not necessarily like, oh, she doesn't really like him. I just think he's farther along in their connection than she is. I don't know. I have a feeling. I feel it. And it's such a weird thing to still be saying, that how people are like, I don't know if I'm there, but is this it? Is this what falling in love is? And, you know, Daisy's like kissing him, they're playing hockey, and she's just like, oh my God, like, is it happening? Like, am I falling in love with him? Oh my God, I think it's happening.
I did not expect this to feel this way. This is nuts. Like, I'm falling. I think it's happening.
And it's like in real life, people don't say these things. No one ever says for the first time to someone like, hey, just want you to know I'm falling in love with you. Like, no one ever uses this terminology in real life, so I just find it hilarious that it is just like such a big terminology in reality TV, where it's like you're not in love with the person and you don't really like them, so you just go to like this in between. It's like, I'm falling in love with you. Like, what? Okay, well, what does that mean? Right? Like, what does falling in love mean? It just pretty much is a little bit more than I really, really like you, but I don't want to say LOVE kind of thing yet, right? So then we have the next date, which is all the girls, which were, the group date, which is Maria, Jenn, Kelsey T, and Rachel all go on a group date where basically they go out and become, what's it called? Not Jacks, but Lumberjills. They basically learn how to, like, you know, Captain America and do, I call that Captain America when he's like cutting the wood. They're doing that. They're sawing. They're throwing axes. And it is so funny because you see some girls excelling. And then you have Maria, who is struggling hard, which was so funny because I'm pretty sure most people expected this about her. But she's like, this is not my element. Like, I do not camp. I glamp. I said, I didn't expect any less from you, girl. I did not expect any less from you. But she is feeling very insecure in this date, and that was interesting and very different for Maria. And this is when we really start to see the spiral happen for her because she feels so out of her element. She's very insecure. She's not an outdoorsy person. She's being asked to do all these outdoorsy things, and she's trying to be a good sport about it, but you can see she's really starting to get in her head because now there's only 4 girls, so it's a lot easier to see his connections with other women compared to when it was like a lot of girls. It was a little bit harder to kind of really focus on, right? But then we have this one moment, which, production, stop it. Stop it with showing this. So you have Joey interviewing, and then you just hear him like kind of like look over like, oh, like, hey, what's up? And it's Jenn, and she comes up to him, and she's like, oh, I just wanted to steal you for a little kiss. And then she just, like, goes up to him while in his interview and, like, starts making out with him. And you have all the girls watching him being, like, from, like, the side, just being like, what the fuck? Like, okay, well, I didn't need to see that. Like, ugh. And to be honest, I didn't really like it either, because I did feel like it was a little bit much. It was her way of being like, hey, don't forget about me, I'm here. But I don't know, it just felt a little bit too much. It felt a little bit like a little bit desperate in a way. I hate to say that because I really like Jen, but to me it gave me like really like I'm feeling very desperate right now for you to remember that I'm here kind of thing, and I didn't really like it. And I don't know if Joey liked it either. I think Joey kind of was just like, oh, like, hey. I don't know. It might just be me. Like, I think he liked her, but I don't know. It just kind of gave me very, I was a little bit like, this is weird. I don't like it. I didn't like it. It gave me a little bit too much of desperate vibes. Then we go to the night portion. Again, the whole night, it's just Maria just talking about how concerned she is about the situation. She doesn't know if she can bring Joey to meet her family if he is not sure that she is the one. And this is always how it gets at this point in the competition. This point in the season where everyone really starts to spiral because they're like, I don't know. I don't really know, right? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if Joey loves me the most and he's saying all these stuff to the other women and I don't know where I stand. It's a very difficult, thing to be doing, right? Jen talks to Joey and she tells him again how hard it's been for her and that she just wished that she did have the one-on-one. And she does talk about how she's never brought anyone home before, and she says that he might not even feel comfortable meeting her family because of the dynamic of the American and Vietnamese values and the way that they see life. Seems like she might be like, first generation in the US kind of thing. So she even talks about how her mom will never kind of understand how she views things because of the generational differences, and she is scared that that might be an issue. Joey kind of just obviously just says, "Hey, it's okay. I want to meet your family. It's going to be fine. It doesn't deter me. Blah, 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 blah." Taylor T also comes in. Taylor, why do I call her Taylor? Kelsey T also tells him how she has strong feelings for him and that it's hard. Blah, blah, blah. The same that we kind of all hear, and about how her dad, doesn't know that she's here and might not agree with the situation, but she hopes that they can meet. Yeah, I kind of knew in the moment that Kelsey T probably, like, I really liked Kelsey T and I thought she would go farther, but I had a feeling that kind of after this conversation, she kind of hadn't been saying like what he wanted to hear really, and he wasn't really saying that he did anymore. So I feel like other relationships were progressing. But then this is when we get into the juice of the episode. Really, really juice here. So we have Maria, who is very, very much spiraling at this point. She decides that she's going to go and talk to Joey. And it was interesting because this was the first time that we actually see her spiraling. For the whole season, she's been very confident, focusing on her relationship, not letting other things get in the way. But this was the first episode we actually see her, like, get in her head, like, hard. Like, she cannot process the idea or fathom the idea that she's going to bring her family to, or that Joey's going to meet her family and he is not going to be 100% secure about her or where they are in their relationship.
My biggest fear would be like doing all this and not ending up with you. It's gotten the best of me, and I don't know. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know.
It's incredibly awkward because he starts really kind of getting like annoyed, like, why aren't you just focusing on our connection? That's the most important thing here. You keep undermining it, because he keeps saying like, yeah, but I have this connection with you just like I have with other women. And she's like, yeah, but it's just, she's basically saying like it's not enough kind of thing, right? And then you have this really weird moment where she kind of gets up because he asked her like, oh, so are you leaving now? And she's like, I think I am. And then she like walks up and goes into the room and she's like crying. And then you have Joey just kind of sitting there like, well, I don't even know what to say. And Nick Viall was talking about this in his recap of this episode that I was listening to, which I kind of do agree with him, where this was like the first time that we ever saw Joey kind of just be annoyed. He wasn't very empathetic or as empathetic as he normally has been. Because generally speaking, all he had to say was, hey, I understand you. I have been in your situation before, but you just have to trust in this relationship that we have, that this is a connection that we have. And, he didn't really empathize with her. He kind of was just more like annoyed that she was wanting to leave and didn't understand like why she felt the way that she did.
I don't get what's going on right now. Maria walks away, and I don't know if she's coming back or if the next time she comes back, it's a goodbye. I have no idea. Now I'm questioning everything.
Now, unless this was edited very weird to make it look like that, because it felt like we had missed something, because out of nowhere, he's just like, oh, so are you leaving? And she's like, I guess. And then she walks away. It was just really weird. Like, he just goes on to talk about, in a side interview, about how it's basically that preview, that part of the preview where he was, in the last preview, where he was like, imagine getting up to the aisle and not knowing, or to the altar, and that person not knowing if they could say yes to you. That was all about Maria, like I expected it was going to be about. But she basically, he's just very worried about this. This has pretty much changed the dynamic, I think, of their relationship. I think the moment she said, like, I'm going to leave, I think a part of his brain was like, oh, this girl's not fully in it, and I don't know if I can risk my heart in this situation, which is totally understandable. I think really when she said that and she started having all these insecurities and really saying that she was going to leave, if she had just said, I'm insecure and I'm worried, but I'm here, he would have been fine. But the fact that she said, I don't think I can do this anymore, and he asked her if she was going to leave and she said yes, that right there I think sealed her fate, or at least what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to seal her fate, really, and that was going to be it. But obviously, we know that's not the case. But he's just very, very confused on what to do. He's scared that he's going to be giving too much time to someone who isn't fully invested or isn't fully there to give him everything. Maria does come back, though, and kind of retracts herself. She kind of has a good cry, comes back and says, okay, I think I let my emotions get the best of me.
Because of how I feel with you, I'm scared and like, I don't know, I don't like seeing you with the other women, and I think it just got the best of me, and
I do want to be here. And Joey's kind of trying to have like a serious conversation with her, and you could tell she's kind of like trying to like brush it away, like, no, everything's great, like that was just me getting in my head, like, yeah. And she's like,
I saw you kiss her, and
But you really, you're not even gonna kiss me tonight because of that?
No, because you need to learn your lesson.
Again, you also.
I'm listening.
You're all over the place, woman.
They have a cute, flirty relationship that you don't see him have with any of the other women. So it is interesting because as much as I like how he is with the other women, I still like the relationship he has with Maria. Like, I like that they're very, like, playful and they kind of, like, dig at each other, because I don't really see that with the other girls. With the other girls, I kind of just see it being very, like, I love you, Joey. I love you, too, kind of thing. When I think with Maria, it would be a very fun, like, you never know what to expect kind of thing. But I can understand, like, why, because of that, he's a little bit worried about what she would act, how she would perceive the future, if she would say yes to him, how she's going to feel with the rest of the women. A lot can happen. A lot is riding on this. But in the moment, I really did think that she kind of shot herself in the foot. And I was like, oh, she's going home. She's going home. So he goes back to the girls and he just tells them, hey, just so y'all know, I ain't giving a rose tonight. I got lots to think about. I said, oh, fuck. I was like, Joey, why do you have to do this? Oh my God, why do you have to do this? So all the girls are now shaking in their boots because nobody's got a rose in this group and they don't know who is going to go home at this point. Like, no one in this group is secure at all. So we move on to Kelsey's one-on-one date. And again, the date started and I was already like, oh, if she doesn't get a rose, like, I'd be shocked. Spoiler alert. She gets a rose. Again, I don't even know if I really want to talk about this date because, again, everything seems very easy with them. There's not a lot going on. There's really no drama, which is good because she's just like, she's falling for him. They go on these fun dates. They talk. They did a polar plunge together, which I thought was super cute and fun. And I don't know if I could do it, but she gets super excited. They're at a bar playing pool, and this guy that titled says on the bottom, typical Canadian. cracked me up that it just said his name and it just said typical Canadian was his title. I'm like, okay. He says that there's a polar plunge. She's like, oh my God, I've always wanted to do one. And she's super excited. So they decide to go and do a polar plunge together. It's very cute. And in my head at this point, I was like, I think Kelsey A is the winner. At this point, I really do believe that Kelsey A is going to win because there really is nothing, there's no mystery with her right now. Joey is kind of like, yep, she's falling in love with me. She's wonderful. She comes from a good family. She makes me feel good when we're out together. Like, there's nothing about her that I think Joey questions, which automatically moves her up because there's nothing, he's not worried about her not feeling the same way. Unlike Daisy, where it's still like, I don't know. Or Maria, I don't know. You also have, you have Rachel, who also has been very like, I'm falling for you, or very like confident, but with Kelsey on these one-on-one dates, it always does feel very, very easy with them. There's no, I gotta find out this thing. It's kind of just like, okay. So during this date, then we have kind of back and forth between Maria being at home, being like, "Oh my God, like I want to talk to Joey again and tell him that that was just overthinking it and I was in my head, but I do want to be here and I want to be here for him and all these things." And I said, "Girl, you shouldn't have said I'm gonna leave because that really, really effed you over. It really did." So then Kelsey A goes back to their dinner date. She's very emotional, talking about her dad and how her dad has been ever since they lost her mom and how he really stepped up for the family and taking care of her and her siblings and how a wonderful man she is. And she's like crying, and it's so beautiful to see and also sad, but you can see how emotional she gets like talking about her mom and her dad. And I think that brings it to Joey just kind of just being like, yeah, there's like, I have nothing to worry about. Like, she seems like a great girl. She wants me to meet her family. I want to meet her family. He gives her the rose. Yep, wasn't surprised there. And again, I think she is a winner or she's top 2 for sure, unless something happens in the next couple of episodes. I have a feeling she will be the winner or top 2 at least. And then we move into the cocktail party. And guess what, guys? There ain't no cocktail party. I said, stop it. Joey, why you gotta do this to these girls? These women start shitting their pants because they're like, well, great. Now I can't even have one more moment to talk about him and tell him that, like, I want to be here. It's kind of like Joey at this point has really just made up his mind. He knows who he wants to send home, right? At this point, though, when I was watching it, I was like, damn it. Like, I have no idea. Who is he going to give the 2 roses to? There's only 2 roses left on the table. And I said, okay, Daisy and Kelsey have one. So we have Kelsey T, Rachel, Maria, and Jenn. Who's going to get this date? I was like, oh my God, I really have no idea. I have no idea. And somebody kind of spoiled it for me. And guys, please don't spoil anything. Someone had written in a thing about how they saw Rachel in wherever it is that they go in the future or something like that. So she does make it pretty far. So we shall see. But then this is, oh, God. Joey, buddy, stop showing your cards to us like that. So he comes out and he's like, so, this has been a very difficult week for me. I believe that my wife is in this room. And then he says, Maria, can I talk to you? I said, sir, don't do that to the other women. That's effed up. Don't do that to the other women. Rachel is furious. She's like, what the fuck? You literally hear her say, what the fuck? I thought we didn't have time with him. I said, she ain't wrong. She ain't wrong, though. She ain't wrong. I was like, oh, God. And that showed right there that Joey still has feelings for Maria, strong feelings to the point where he was like, I'm not sure, so you know what, let me talk to her one more time and see where she's at. Because I think if in that moment she was like, I still don't know, he would have sent her home. But he really wanted to pick her. So he basically tells her like, hey, I want to know if you're all in. You really scared me before, and I need to know if you're all in, if you're here for me, if you want to continue this process. And she says that she is, and he says that, he's like, okay, great.
This frustrates me. It does.
Okay.
With Maria, we have always had the ability to be honest and open with each other, and we have a very strong physical and emotional connection.
Well, clearly it didn't worry you enough because, my friends, Rachel is the first to be called for the hometowns, which I think this connection is strong, but I for some odd reason, I don't think damn it, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it because I'm thinking about their one-on-one, and their one-on-one in Malta was it Malta? Their one-on-one in Malta was really nice. Like, I actually really liked their one-on-one. It really showed their like connection and their little banter, which I liked. But his connection with Kelsey or Daisy just feels like much more like love, but I feel like his feeling with her is like more like friendship, but also could be turned into love kind of thing, because I don't really see him bantering with Kelsey A or bantering with Daisy like he does with Maria and Rachel. At this point, y'all, I was stressed. It was like the music's going on. Rachel gets the rose, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, who's gonna be, oh my God, who's gonna get it? Oh my God, is it gonna be Jen? Oh my God, is it gonna be Maria? Oh my God, I was literally like this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he picked Maria, y'all. He picked Maria. Shows that her relationship was still very, very solid in his gut, in his heart, and in his mind. Like, he was still gun-ho for Maria. And I love Maria. I do. I don't know if she's going to win, because I still think Kelsey A and Daisy are up there. There's a lot more drama to go. The parents thing is going to be a big thing next week, so we'll see. But yeah, Jen and Kelsey T axed, and it was actually pretty weird because both Kelsey T and Jen like hugged him goodbye, but it felt so nonchalant, like it was week one. Like, it was like Joey was just like, oh, blah blah blah. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you're gonna be such a great woman, and thank you so much for everything. Kelsey T didn't even say nothing. Like, she didn't say one word. She said, okay, thank you. She walked out. She went into the van, or she went into the car. Didn't shed a tear. She just kind of just sat there and just kind of just shook her head in disappointment, and that was it. Didn't even ask her questions. She didn't say anything. Jen as well, she kind of said goodbye to him, but she didn't really say much to him. It was very much, it just seemed so nonchalant. And I think because they were just so hurt, they just were like, I have nothing else to say to you. Like, what is the point? Like, what's the point? Jen does say in the car that she is sad, but she will find someone who loves her for her, and hopefully she'll find someone as special as Joey was in her life. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Positive thinking. But Kelsey T was like, peace. Like, she wasn't pissed, but she just didn't want to say anything. And she's always been that person who's like so calm. So I expected that from her. But yeah, it was pretty rough. But yeah, that was the end of the episode, y'all. Like I said, I was so surprised that he picked Maria in the end, because I really thought, I thought she was going to send herself home. I really thought she was. So surprised that she didn't. Obviously, that's what they were kind of leading it towards, but yeah, we'll see. We had the preview for meeting the families. We see the same thing we see every week, where every single family member is like, I don't know, because there's other women. How do you feel? Have you told each other you love each other? I don't know. It's like, it's always the same thing. The parents always have reservations. They always are like, oh, well, there's other women here, and we don't like that. It's always the same thing. We have this really dramatic moment where Rachel's sitting on the bench crying, and it sounds more like it's like a edit or a soundbite over her sitting on the bench outside. I think making it kind of seem that maybe he breaks up with her, but I don't think that. Producers, I'm not gonna fall for this one. I'm not. So we will see what next week has to hold. But whew, man, hometowns are coming up. Now it's really hard. I really have no idea who's going home next. I have no idea. I really don't know. Oh my God. And then don't forget, we still have the he needs to talk little envelope situation, or we need to talk thing. Don't think I forgot about that preview. I feel like that's still in there. So, just saying. Anyway, guys, what did you think of this episode? What did you think about Maria saying over Jen or Kelsey T? Let me know in a comment below. Who do you think is going to be cut from hometowns? Comment down below on that, and let's chat about it. And of course, if you liked this video, you know what to do. Click that like button. It really helps me, helps out this channel. And if you're not already subscribed, I'm sorry, what? Why aren't you subscribed? Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!